Hey everybody, it's Lyn from Lyn's Crafts. I got asked to share how I would create a torpedo bead. And these are just a few of the ones that I've made. You can use any color clay. There's all kinds of surface decorations you can add. This one has embossing powder on it. These two have, this one has Inca Gold. This one has the metallic luster by Deco Arts. And this one just has a little pattern that I inscribed with my knitting needle. So I'm going to work in white clay again today just because it makes it a little easier for you to see the detail than like if I was using black clay, which you just almost can't see on camera. Alright, so shaping the bead is really the easy part. I just get a good shape. And roll it. Alright. Put this in just a little tighter point. Maybe not quite that tight. Alright, and then for surface texture, you can use anything. This is the handle of a disposable razor blade that you could use. Just like that. Alright, so there's really no end to the variety that you could do. I could throw some embossing powder on this one. So let's do that. I'm going to put my hole in the bead first. Now you could try to run your hole from end to end. On a shorter torpedo, that would be fantastic. On this particular one, I'm going to run it from side to side through the top. And this is just an old corsage pin. Alright, and I'll be right back. Alright, I've got just an accordion folded piece of cardstock. Now you can use an embossing ink. At this point it won't really matter because the clay is raw. And embossing powder will stick to raw clay. However, this chunkier, this is a Stampendous, I believe it's the aged ivory. This stuff will, you know, it's chunky, so it won't stick everywhere. I don't know what got on there off my embossing pad, but Alright, that's a fun look. Now I can put this in the oven just like this, and the oven will melt the embossing powder as it's baking the clay. So I'm just going to swap positions. Alright, on this one, let's try a different color. Let's try this one, just this shabby blue. And kind of shake it up a little bit. And this particular one, the blue is a finer grain of embossing powder than the white. So on this one I'm going to do it on both sides. On all sides, however you want to say that. Alright, and I'm just going to actually bake the beads right on this accordion folded paper here. It will tend to flatten out the bottom side of the bead, but as long as they're positioned where the hole is side to side, then that shouldn't be a problem. Alright, if that bothers you, you can bake in a bowl of, there's the again, baking soda. I was at a loss for words. There it is again. You can bake in a bowl of baking soda, and that will help to cradle your beads a little bit. Or my oven is lined with a Pyrex dish with polyfill in it. The 100% polyfill will not melt or burn or anything in the oven, but with the embossing powder on the beads, it would stick when the embossing powder melts. So that's why I'm not going to do them that way. If I didn't have embossing powder on them, they'd be fine. Alright, here's what they look like out of the oven. Now what I did was, while they were still hot in the oven, I took them out and then I lifted them off of the paper with my pen through the hole, because the embossing powder will stick to the paper. You could always put a layer of wax paper or parchment paper or something underneath to help the removal of them. But goodness. Anyway, that's what I did, and then I just hung them up to dry. Alright, so at this point you could antique them or not, but let's try one and see what we think. Alright, the embossing powder almost acts like a glaze because it's so glossy. And that was just for my sister Deborah. When we were kids, she always liked the word glossy. Alright, and I'm just going to wipe away the majority of the paint. Alright, and then just got a baby wipe. Right, and I like that. It has almost a spooky rib cage look. So maybe good for a Halloween project. But there they are. Just a little bit of what you can do with torpedo beads. Like this one, I just used my needle tool and my knitting needle tool, and I raked some texture down the surface, did a little swirling around where I stuck the rhinestones. These are just the hot fix rhinestones that I put a little bacon bond underneath and baked them at the same time as the clay. This one, same thing, I just raked some texture with my needle tool. This is just where I rolled the needle tool around, and then I did with my little ball tool some little S swirls down around the bottom. And this one, I inked up my script stamp and just rolled the bead on the stamp, and then I sprinkled some embossing powder. It's that Judykins Aegean silver. Alright, so any embossing powder would work though. Same thing on this one, I just scribed some texture on there with my needle tool, and then I antiqued it. But after I antiqued it on this one, then after I let it dry, I sanded it down to almost removing the lines. It's smooth, but you can still barely feel the texture in it. Alright? Alright. That's it for torpedo beads. I shall holler at y'all later. Bye now.